You know that nowadays the millennial think is like education is not important. We can just read books, or is like I can be successful in my way and I don't need education. What do you think about that?
There are so many pros and cons in terms that whether education is important or not, and I'm on the pro side. I will explain to you why.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Welcome to School Podcast of MIMNU Pucang Sidoarjo Best Juhui. I'm Syaza Syafika Shifa, and together with our friend namely CLEONA Maulidiva and HENY Rahma Zahira. Hello CLEONA and HENY, how are you guys?
Alhamdulillah, we are in a good condition. And about you?
I think I'm fine, yeah maybe. Okay, glad to hear that. We're going to talk about grades in school today, but before that, I want to ask something. Is education important?
Oh,
I'm sorry, I didn't say that school is not important, but is education important? You know that nowadays the millennial think is like education is not important. We can just read books, or is like I can be successful in my way and I don't need education. What do you think about that?
well, okay, so first of all, in my personal opinion, I think education is important. There are so many pros and cons in terms that whether education is important or not, and I'm on the pro side. I will explain to you why. Let's take an example. There is a rich person. He has wealth, position, and others, but he's not well educated at all. I think he will not succeed in the future because everything in the world, such as wealth, position, and others, is temporary. And of course, it will sometimes runs out, right? But here, knowledge will not runs out. It will always in our mind. So I think education is really important. Remember that education is not only from school. People who can't afford money for school can also read books. There are some cheaper books, and also learn from their life experiences. This life, the life that we live now, I think it can be a teacher that teaches us. If we made a mistake, we can always introspect ourselves and trying to not do the same thing again. Education is important. That's my point of view.
In my opinion, education is important because it is for our future, and as a Muslim, Luqman Abu Nawas Upholmi says Prophet Muhammad, mainly utlubul ilma minal mahdi ilal lahdi, which means seeking knowledge from cradle to the grave. The general purpose to education and teaching in Islam is to make all human beings servant of Allah Subhanahu wa Taala.
Okay, so basically whether we are rich or poor, it will be useless if we are not educated.
Right.
Because the times are growing and humans are also developing. We must be able to survive in this world with the knowledge we get. Even though someone is rich, but if he uneducated, he will lose. And
Because the world is not eternal.
that's right. Money will also run out if we don't have an education. It will be easy to be deceived by other people. For example, many people make unfair investments of up to billions.
Right.
Yeah. But because of their education is lacking, they are deceived by luxury. The purpose of Islam education is in line with the purpose of human creation, namely to develop human's mind and to regulate behavior and feelings based on Islam. Okay, continue to the next question. Well, regarding the exam, right?
Right.
Usually, some child cheat, which will change the grades. As a student, what do you think about the exam in MIMNU? I mean, the procedure for conducting the exam.
Okay, so the meaning of the question is how is the exam in MIMNU and how is the exam conducted, right?
That's right.
Okay. First of all, I want to speak about the questions of exams in MIMNU. I think that the weight of the questions is very heavy. I mean, in a good way. It can also hone the skills of the students in the madrasah so that they can always be smarter and smarter. And if the exams, like have good results, it can be learned from the previous mistake into a better exam. And about the about how the exam is conducted, I think the exam in MIMNU Pucang is very strict and well guarded. For example, the bags of the students are put in the back of the class, and which I think is very good. That's a good of MIMNU Pucang.
Agree. Exam in MIMNU Pucang is very good for developing student and their thinking and their abilities of student. And of course, exam in MIMNU Pucang is very strict and
Okay. To continue, does the teaching method affects the child acceptance of learning? They differ in the way they understand things. Like sometimes one person understands and the other doesn't. Meanwhile, if we use another method, the other one understands. What do you think about that?
I think the learning method is affect to student receiving the learning because every student is different, right? And Allah also creates every humans are very different.
Okay. For me, the opinion about for the opinion from Henny and Shaza is right. When we study and learn from our school, we cannot have the same method of learning. As Henny said, humans are different because it was created by Allah differently. And so the acceptance of a student on the learning is according to how the students learn and how the teacher teaches the student. And I think you guys like the fun and not boring teacher more than an angry teacher. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah, same, me too. But sometimes teachers are angry because we cannot follow the rules, right?
Right.
That is good. But it is different if the teacher always angry for no reason. The teacher still follow the rules, but the teacher just angry for some reason. And fortunately, in MIMNU Pucang, there are no teachers like that. I think the teachers at MIMNU Pucang is kind, patient, but still firm. And that helps the student to learn from their mistake and trying to be a better person. And the students in MIMNU Pucang have changed a lot to me.
Okay, last question. Are grades important?
Okay, the question is still related to the question about exam earlier, right? That grades can change based on the student, whether they can teach cheating or not, or they can be honest. We don't know, because many students in other school are often cheating without the teacher knowing that, and which I think is very cruel. Right? How can the student do that? Sometimes the parents told someone to replace the student because the teacher, the guard, is from another school, and when the student do the exam, the teacher don't know. I mean, who's this student's name? Who's that student's name? We don't know. So I think grades are still important. Exam functions to trying to hone the skills of the students, and that's my point of view.
My opinion is grade is not important, but what is important is the process that we get grades.
I understand. May I convey something?
Okay, okay.
In my opinion, grades are important but also unimportant. You know, if unimportant, the example is like this child gets low mark in this lesson and other people think that he is lazy and others like that. But he get high marks in another lesson. You know, everyone have different abilities. Maybe they are talented in another fields or lesson. It's like art, music, and something like that. But for certain jobs, I think that education is so important. As like doctor, engineer, you know, if any engineer make a wrong calculation, it will be a problem. And if we go to a doctor, then we have to choose a doctor with GPA of 3 and 4.
Yeah.
Of course, we will choose the doctor with GPA of 4 because the number represent the skill.
Cause of this is example. The result is received by a cheating.
Yeah.
Yeah, or not maybe the exam. I mean, not just exam in school. I mean the exam. I mean when you're applying a job interview. I think if the result is not achieved honestly, it will really affect. You know, if the doctor is not really good, but he like faking it. So the patient, how's the patient?
I think he's in a problem.
Yeah, and as I heard previously that there's pro and cons that grades are important. Henny thinks that grades are unimportant. The important things is the process, right? I think I appreciate all of your opinion, and Shaza said that it can be wrong, but it cannot. But it can also be true. And yeah, I appreciate that because we all have different minds, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's enough, right?
I think that's enough for me.
Okay, and that's all from us. Sorry if there are mistakes. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. See you later,
Guys.